Hi everyone, it's Jennifer Hoffman of EnlighteningLife.com, and this is the newsletter message for June 10th, 2019. We're having a newsletter video this time. And I was going to address a different topic with you this time, and something happened today, and I thought this makes a perfect topic for especially this week, which is going to be a really busy week energetically, but also because it addresses an issue that comes up for so many of us, me too, and that is what happens when you've got all these plans, you're moving forward, and something happens and you have to stop everything you're doing and do something else. So as you know, if you follow me on Facebook, we've had torrential rains for the last 3 days. It's rained really hard. We've had inches of rain. And today I went out. I had a letter to mail, so I was going to put it in the mailbox, put the little flag up, and let the postman come and pick it up. It's a process that takes me 60 seconds. Walk down to the end of my driveway, where the mailbox is, and walk back into the house. So I go outside, my letter in my hand, I open my mailbox, and I see something inside. It looks like I had dirt in my mailbox. And I thought, it didn't rain that much. I mean, my mailbox is at least, 4 feet off the ground, so we didn't have that much rain. And I thought, well, maybe it got like water went inside of it or something from the tree fell on it, because the tree is right over the top of it. And I look a little closer, and I look a little closer, and the dirt starts to move, and I realize my mailbox is full of ants. There's an ant's nest in my mailbox. And what looks like little grains of sand is actually their little eggs. So I had thousands of little eggs in my mailbox. My mailbox is long, and it was covered in those little eggs. And of course, there were the ants all over the little eggs. So my 60 seconds was not going to happen. So I went inside the house, brought my letter back, put it carefully on the table by the door so it wouldn't get all wet and all dirty. And I got my long rubber gloves, because if I get bitten by ants, I get these terrible reactions to ant bites, just about any bug bite, but especially ant bites. So I went in the garage, I got my long furniture stripping gloves that go all the way up to here. I got my lemon and mint spray, my natural spray that I make, because ants don't like mint and they don't like lemon. And I got a few pieces of paper towel, because I didn't want to get any of my sponges covered with ants. So I got a bunch of paper towels, and I went outside, sprayed the mailbox, and it took me about 20 minutes to get all the ants and all the ant eggs and clean everything on the outside and spray around the bottom, so that I had mint and lemon all over the entire mailbox. Definitely not how I planned to spend that part of my day. So why am I sharing this with you? Because this is so typical of what happens on our journey. We gather everything together, we're moving forward, and then something happens. And maybe that something happens is your marriage is falling apart, or a parent gets sick, or a child gets sick, or you're having problems with your children, or you're having problems at work, or something happens in your house. Things come up. And in spite of how much we plan and how much we try and make sure that we're all prepared, something comes up. You're tooling down the road, you got the radio on, you're in your car, you're on your way somewhere, and you look over and you realize my wallet's at home, or my purse, my phone's at home, or I forgot something and I have to turn around and get it. Or, like this happened to me once, I got a flat tire. Just had a blowout, the first blowout I've ever had. Bam! I thought somebody had shot a gun, and it was the tire blew out. So I had to stop and get the tire changed. So what happens though is we let those things overwhelm us, and we don't feel like the universe has our back, because if it did, we'd still be going down the road. We wouldn't have to be stopping and changing a tire, or changing our plans, or having to consider somebody else's needs, or having to take care of things. We would be going, straight forward. Well, first of all, we think that the ascension path is linear. It's a straight line. It's not. It's expansive. It's spherical like a ball. It's not straight like a ruler. So in that spherical path, as we're moving forward, we're also expanding this way. So we're moving forward and we're expanding. We're moving forward a little bit more and we're expanding more. Think of blowing up a balloon. Sometimes part of that moving forward expansion journey has to do with, how do you address a problem? How do you handle a crisis? Look, you made this change, so you've impacted all these other things. So now you have to address these things before you can make that next step and take that next step. all part of the journey. So let me share with you 3 steps, and that's your gift for this week. 3 steps that you can take when these things happen. And the first is assess the problem, assess what's really going on. So the problem with the mailbox, okay, my mailbox is full of ants. So that's my problem. My mailbox is full of ants. Now, we tend to assess the problem in the context of the problem. Like, oh, my mailbox is full of ants, so I can't put my letter in it. Well, I could put my letter in it, but not when the mailbox was full of ants. So look at the problem in its most simple form. What's the problem? My mailbox is full of ants. The second one is where we tend to get a little bit stuck, and that is, what are the tools you have to address the issue? Now, if you've been following me any length of time, if you have read my books, if you watch my Facebook Lives, if you listen to the Enlightening Life radio show that I had for 8 years on the radio, the most popular radio show on the internet, you've gotten lots of tools from me. And I continue to provide tools. I continue to come up with new tools. So you have the tools, you have the ability to think of a solution, to implement that solution, to look at your different options, to assess what needs to be done. You have those tools. In my case, to get the ants out of my mailbox, I needed some physical tools. I needed my spray. I needed my rubber gloves because I was not going to touch those things with my hands. And I needed some paper towels. I had all those things in the house. But I also had this knowledge that ants don't like citrus and they don't like mint. So I knew that if I sprayed my mailbox and cleaned it out really well with citrus and mint, not only could I get rid of the ants, and I could do it safely with something that wasn't going to poison me, but I could also keep them out of my mailbox. And I don't mind if they build nests in my yard. I just don't want them building a nest in my mailbox. So you have all kinds of tools. And once you look at this problem in its simplest form, and you start looking at not what am I going to do, but hey, I've got some tools I could use. What are the tools that I know? What did Jennifer teach me, or what have I learned so far in my journey that I can use to make this problem, to take care of this issue? And then the third is the one where we really get stuck, and that is you got to take action. So action is, there are a couple kinds of action. The first is physical action. I had to go get inside the house, get the supplies, walk back down to the mailbox, and start cleaning out the mailbox. But I also had to take some energetic action. I had to decide what I was going to do. One of my decisions could have been, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not even going to mess with it. They'll go away. Another one could have been, I'll let the mailman deal with it. Now, one of my mail carriers is a woman, and one of my mail carriers, and it depends on, it's summertime now, so it depends on who's on and who's on vacation and whatever. But I wasn't going to do that to them. I wouldn't like it if I opened a mailbox and had these creepy crawly ants all over the place. So I wanted to be considerate. I wouldn't do that. I would have cleaned out the ants. It's my mailbox after all. Plus, I didn't want to put my letter on top of all these ants. So taking action is, can be as simple as setting an intention. Now you got to follow up the intention with physical action, but you still have to set that intention. And deciding that I can take care of this, that's an intention. Now, how I'm going to take care of it, that's another idea, that's another decision. But setting that first intention, I can take care of this, I can handle this. That's your first intention, and that's your first action. Putting that belief in place, I can do this, is part of that intention network. And we tend to judge the problems by what we look at as their complexity or their difficulty, and decide, well, I can do this, oh, I can't do that. But what we're doing is we're looking at too much of the problem. So one of the things that I've had to say a lot, and you've heard me say it on the Enlightening Life live shows too, and I've said it a lot with clients, is you need to take your problems apart and address the separate issues rather than looking at the entire problem in a big chunk and trying to address that one. It would be like, what am I going to have for dinner? Okay, so I'm going to have a vegetable, some kind of protein, a meat. I'm going to have some salad and maybe some dessert. Well, I can't put all of that in one big pan and call that dinner and stick it in the oven. That would be terrible. It would be very unappetizing, and it would be inedible, and it would just be a mess. But that's what we do. We tend to put all of the issues together and call that our challenge, when really there are a number of different issues that can be taken care of individually, and maybe not even all by us. So say, for example, your challenge is a parent suddenly becomes gravely ill and you need to take care of the parent. Now, that's a big life challenge. It's a big life change. It's a big responsibility. I know I took care of one of my parents, my father, when he was quite ill before he died. So taking care of my parent, that's what you look at the issue. But that's not the issue. The issue, that's the big issue. The smaller issue is who's the best suited? What is it going to entail? What part do I want to be responsible for? What part are other people responsible for? How do I manage this? How do I organize it? How do I schedule it? All of these things then are separate individual issues that make taking action a lot easier, because you're not trying to take, like eat the elephant in one bite. You're actually taking the problem apart into its smaller components and allowing yourself to address those. One of our biggest challenges in doing any kind of energy work or any kind of transformational work is we get overwhelmed. But we get overwhelmed because we look at the whole thing rather than the little piece that we can do right now, and then the next little piece that we can do tomorrow or the next week or the week after that. So the reason that I'm sharing this particular topic at this particular time is because this is what's coming up right now. All of these challenges, all this transformation, all these changes, all these things we need to take care of. And we tend to look at them in the aggregate like one big thing, and we go, I can't do it. That's not going to happen. I'm totally out of my capabilities. When if we look at it in smaller pieces, more manageable pieces, that we can have a small win every day or every other day, or we finish something and yes, that's one piece that's done, that becomes a lot easier to do than, again, looking at the entire problem. In my business course, I talk about a very important concept, and that is the difference between a project and a smaller task within a project. So, for example, building a website, that's not a to-do item on my list. That's not a task. That's a project. Building a website is a project. It's a big project. You need content, you need pages, you need a hosting provider, you need a domain name. I mean, there are lots of smaller tasks within that project that turn that into not a task. So if you say, oh, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to build a website, and you're starting from nothing, after 10 minutes, say after 10 hours, you're going to feel like you got nothing done, because you got nothing done. You didn't realize that this is a project. It's not just one thing. It's a collection of smaller tasks that each need to be done to get this overall project. So one of the things that helps is look at it in terms of a project. You've got a challenge. That's your project. What are the smaller tasks within that project that you can do? In that way, you feel like you accomplished something because you get something done. And then one task gets done, the next task gets done. And on an energetic level, you don't feel overwhelmed, you feel in control, you feel better about yourself, so you have a better chance of getting things done. And that's that third part of taking action. But the best part is you don't get overwhelmed by the situation, and you allow yourself to just settle into, okay, I'm doing this, and then I'm going to do this next thing, and you know where you're going, and soon this huge thing becomes a much smaller thing because you've taken care of the individual tasks. And as you do, the project gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So your 3 steps again: assess the situation. Take it down to its simplest component. What is really happening? Number 2, get your tools. What tools do you have? What energetic tools? What knowledge do you have? What abilities do you have? What gifts can you put in forward and use those? What experience do you have? Where do you ask for help? Those are all part of getting the tools. And don't forget, tools includes getting other people to help you or getting them to contribute to that situation as well. And then number 3 is take action. So energetic action is your intention. That's your first action. But at some point, you got to take physical action. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to put the rubber gloves on and get the paper towel and the spray ball. And I'm sure my neighbors, whoever saw me, was wondering, what the heck is she doing? Because I go out there with a whole wad of paper towels in my hand, my spray bottle, and then my rubber gloves that literally go up to here, because they're the gloves I use if I strip furniture or I work with chemicals. They go all the way up, like way past my elbow. So here I am with all my tools going out there and spraying in the mailbox and cleaning all the ants out. And I don't like that kind of stuff. So I am totally grossed out as I'm spraying these ants and scooping them out. And I'm just thinking, this is so gross. This is so gross. This is so gross. And I hate doing stuff like that. But if I don't do it, nobody's going to. And it had to be done. So I just got it done. And now it's finished. But that's what I wanted to share with you this week. So when you come across some kind of situation like that, don't let it overwhelm you or freak you out or make it, so impossible that you just kind of look at this whole situation and you go, no, I'm not doing it. I can't. Because you've already defeated your purpose before you ever even got started. Instead, follow the 3 steps. Assess the situation, get your tools out, and start taking action. Have a great week. This is Jennifer Hoffman. I hope you're following me on Facebook and other social media platforms because I post a lot and I post often. I hope you can use my tools and steps to help you make huge challenges into much smaller issues and also get things done in your life and move forward on your path with a sense of joy and a sense of purpose, and not let the challenges that arise, and they will, overwhelm you. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.